demolish the building because you write the value off in that year.
No, for buildings you don't get a loss on disposal. For other assets, plant and equipment, you do get a loss on disposal, but buildings...
So you bought this building a couple of $100 grand, you've had 3 or 4 years to demolish it.
You don't get a loss on disposal.
Is that a capital loss?
Yes, because as I said, it's treated like a share in a company. It's not seen as something that's going to go down in value. But you do get your immediate deduction if you maintain that.
Thank you. So don't want that. There are a lot of people leaking homes with damn grab for the last 50 years.
Yeah, someone asked that question last night actually when we were presenting. There was quite a lot of discussion by officials in terms of the impact of leaky buildings in terms of formulating this policy, but it was just on the basis of the data the government said on average buildings don't depreciate. As I said, they were needing to put together a balanced package. They wanted to give tax cuts for business and for individuals, and they needed to fund that in some way.
Part of the government's problem is that they came out and said we want to hit the property sector, but they ruled out taxing the RFRM on rentals, they ruled out a land tax, they ruled out a capital gains tax. There was nothing left for them to do except to hit depreciation. That was it. That was all they had left.
Yeah, and so to sort of counter that, they've given the company tax cut, time balance.
So the buildings in a trust?
Well, the trust rate just stays the same.
Is it just commercial and residential, or it's just commercial?
It's all buildings, so anything with a life, estimated useful life by the Commissioner, not your assessment of its life, of 50 years or more, which is pretty much every building except for a few small categories.
Chicken coops, I think, are still depreciable.
So in terms of the questions that we were going to get back to you on, which we'll email with a link to the special report that IRD put out on Budget Day, which gives you some more detailed discussion in terms of the implications of these changes, and we'll send a copy of the slides. We'll get back to you on that issue in terms of the progressive payments for GST and your invoices before, but your deliveries after. We'll get back to you with an answer on that. And I was just going to check on those internal assets that you're constructing yourself in terms of something that crosses the boundary as to whether that's covered as well as the binding contracts.
So will you contact Peter and then Peter will contact us?
Yeah, I'll send it to the association and they can circulate that.
And if you've got other sort of technical questions you want to send through Peter, that we're happy to look at those as well. You might think of more.
Carolyn, just one last one. The application for, I've got some structures that are considered buildings, I think, in some ways. What, just a broad overview of that process of applying? You've got to prove that within your industry or per se within that class or category, it has a useful lifespan less than 50. How do you do that?
Yeah, just two things. One, the turning or the reduction in the depreciation rate to 0% is only for buildings. So, for example, if you had a dam or some other type of long-lived structure, those depreciation rates are unaffected. It's only buildings. The buildings is 4 walls and a roof. There's some discussion in the special report that I'll send around in terms of that. So it may not even impact on you. But if it did, the process is there's a form on the Inland Revenue website. So provisional depreciation rate is what it's called. It's discussed in the information I'll send around. And you need to provide background information, things like your accounting treatment, maybe valuers information, and then that's considered by the department. Okay.
Well, I guess I'd like to say thank you very much to Carolyn, David and Jeff for coming out from Wellington to give this presentation today. I think it's quite useful to everybody here. So if you can just put it together. And as Carolyn and David were saying before, if you guys have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to email Peter Busfield or myself and we'll pass them on. And likewise, if you'd like a copy of this presentation for your own use and within your companies, please let me know and I'll send it out because I'll have a copy of it myself as well. So thank you very much for attending and hopefully see you next time. Thanks a lot. Yeah. You guys are doing a great job.
G'day Terry, how you going? Oh, battling away. Hey Norm, how are you? Oh, good, had a long slow day, how about you? Had a few people in and out. Yeah. if you like. We're not able to park outside. It's in the race schools come over.